All right, guys, welcome back into another Prize Picks video. Going to be getting into the top props for this Saturday slate. So you guys may have noticed that yesterday I did not come out with a video. Well, that was because I was busy working on a new tool for the website. And that's going to be this MLB props sportsbook view. So we could see the average sportsbook bets that are being pulled in. So if we wanted to look at Prize Picks, what we do is just sort by more than zero. So we can see props that we're going to Prize Picks line on, and then we could go ahead and see where the sportsbooks are valuing that said prop. And now it's not perfect just yet. Still going to be working on this weekend, but I wanted to get this out. I'm excited to get it out. It's just another extension. You know, I try to come out with these tools where the more I can do it, the more value I think that presents. So one of the ones that I know is a good prop on the day is going to be this Chase Anderson one. Okay, so we can see he's projected to get 3.28 strikeouts. The over, we can see the bet tag is saying that we should be favoring the over. And if we look at the percent likelihood for all the sports books by taking out the juice, the no vig, they can say it has about a 53.8% chance. And the average sportsbook line actually has it set at about 2.5 as a whole. So that is going to be a good one that we're looking at. So I'm excited to kind of get that out to you guys. But like I said, like whenever I don't come out with videos, it's because I'm trying to hammer home a new tool. That's the tough part about both being a content creator and running your own business as well. All right, so today we do have two what I'm calling cod fillets. Obviously, we have the tacos, we have the hot dogs. Well, if it's a cod bet that we're getting, let's call them the fillets. That's terrible, I know. They should only make these available on Fridays, so we can call them the Fish Fry Fridays. I don't know. Just trying to come up with the name there. But looking at it, these better freaking hit, guys. Like on Tuesday, had an awesome day in terms of the props that I gave out because the tacos only went 1 for 2 with one being refunded. It was not a massive day. It should have been. And then the same exact thing happened with the hot dogs, where the hot dogs went 1 for 3. Very frustrating in that aspect. And then on Thursday, didn't have a good day, to be honest. Obviously, that's going to happen. Okay. There's going to be good runs. There's going to be bad runs. Hopefully, we have a good run today. Like, it should be a profitable day, given the fact that we are getting discounted cod fillets today. And I'm just going to go ahead and use those. So just a reminder, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the best 5 individual prop bets on the day that we can go ahead and use with kind of these free squares. And we also had that for the Nikola Jokic one as well. Just pulling that up. I'm going to wait on that one unless we get some really awesome ones that pop up that have like a 56% chance in it or whatnot. That's what I'm going to be looking at. So first and foremost, I already made this bet with the Chase Anderson one because that was one that throughout the day, it's just looking like the best one that we're getting. And then once again, just want to call this out as well. This is kind of a good application of what I meant with the Jokic one, I guess, is that this was one that had like a 55% chance to hit last night. So I went and used that with the 2 cod fillets that we have. So fingers crossed there. But once again, this is a good example of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find the best individual bets, the 5 best individual bets to pair with these potential free squares, with these discounts. Okay, both in the long term and in the short term. Hopefully that should be a profitable approach. It will be in the long term. Okay, taking these favorable bets and pairing them with these discounted ones. And I think that's a good example of kind of my goal. So let's go ahead and get into today's slate. We're going to start off with that Miami versus Boston game. And I know it's kind of a little bit of fluff in there. I apologize for that, guys. But looking at this Boston versus Miami game, I find it very interesting that Boston is only favored to win by 3 points. Coming off the last game, yes, it was a home game. We knew Gabe Vincent was out, but they were 8-point favorite in that game. What I also find interesting about this game is that it is a 210.5 over and under. We have seen the past few games it be about 215, 216 for the over and under. So they're expecting it to be closer, and they're also expecting it to be lower scoring. That could come because Malcolm Brogdon and Gabe Vincent are currently questionable, and I think that's going to be where we are finding the biggest edges on today's slate. So let's go and touch on that to start this video. All right, so let's start out with the Malcolm Brogdon situation. Apologies for that little noise if you just heard that. My Bluetooth just turned off. Anyways, let's start with Malcolm Brogdon here. So thankfully on Thursday, we saw that we were getting a very good prop bet with Derek White on underdog. I went in and attacked that pretty heavily on underdog because there's a discrepancy there. And I kind of called out, hey, Malcolm Brogdon, he's been injured. What are the chances that he gets more minutes pretty much? And we saw he just didn't. And so it's been strange. Okay, he's been trying to play through it, played 26 minutes in the game that he got injured. And we have seen the minutes go down pretty much each game, 18, 17, and 8. So is he going to play today? That's the biggest question that I have. And if he does, how many minutes is he going to get? It's kind of a strange one. And based off of the information that we have, I don't see that the situation has changed at all. So because of that, I do still think Derek White could be a pretty awesome option. Now, my biggest worry with him is that he shot the ball extremely well last game, 6 for 8. We know how this works. Like, you don't just go off and then not have a bad day coming up, right? You got to come back to your averages. But the thing with these I know he's not exactly a role player, but he is a role player. They can have this extended period of time where they do exceed kind of their playing capabilities, I guess, in the long term. And so that's what we're hoping for with Derek White. That's actually going to be what we're hoping for with the Miami Heat players as well. But looking at right now, let's try to find the best props that we can go ahead and use with Derek White. So we can see the props that we're getting on him. They're all pretty much decent. I do find this interesting that his points prop, we saw it be 9.5 at the start of the series, which we were able to use. But now it's up to 13.5. But if he's going to be shooting the basketball only like 10 times, that does worry me. Now, yes, they have been coming from 3-ball range, but we know like if a player is not shooting the basketball well, they're not going to get those shot attempts up. So kind of a worry there. Because that's making more than half of those shots, right? That's my biggest worry. So I feel like if I'm betting on Derek White tonight, it would actually be fantasy score. And so he has been someone that has been getting some steals, has been getting some blocks, hasn't been turning over the basketball as well. So yes, we need some more assists. We need those numbers to be back closer to their average as well. And if that happens, then I think the fantasy score prop would be the best one. And actually, if we pull this up here on the 9-to-5 cheat sheet, we can see based off the average sportsbook odds that we were getting, they are favoring the over of 27.76 fantasy points at -142. So he's projecting it over that as well. These are all favorable things for Derek White. I think he's going to make for a pretty solid prop today. And then on the flip side of that, we got Gabe Vincent. Now, is he going to play? He's currently questionable. Participated partially in the shoot around today. That's not very encouraging. That would highly suggest that he's questionable. Maybe he'd be available off the bench. I don't know. But with that being said, I think Caleb Martin is going to be someone we can roll with. The issue that I have with kind of the Miami Heat is that they are a team based off of role players exceeding expectation. And in a weird way, it's strange. Like if Boston comes back and wins this series to be the first team to come back from down 3-0, in a weird way, it's not shocking just given this Miami Heat team. Like the way they've gotten here is so strange. Okay. Like Giannis obviously getting injured in game 1 in the opening round. And then with the Mike Budenholzer personal stuff going on, the tragic news for him in game 4 and 5, creating those mental blunders that led to the awesome comebacks that kind of set up this run for the Heat. And obviously the Knicks, I didn't really expect the Knicks to win that series. So the surprising part is that they went up 3-0 on the Celtics. That being said, I don't think anyone would argue that the Celtics roster as a whole is better, especially with how banged up the Heat have been. So that's my long way of saying it's like, how can we trust these role players that have been exceeding their expectation? How can we expect that to continue, right? At some point, they have to come back to the arena. That's kind of my worry with the Heat. We saw that with Kyle Lowry. I thought Kyle Lowry was going to be a solid play. He didn't do anything. 2 for 5, played 30 minutes. He was doing his Tony Snell impersonation out there. I mean, shoot, 4 turnovers, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Like he barely did anything on the stat sheet. That's kind of worried to me. He needs to do more. If they're going to win, he needs to do more. And so if you think the Heat are going to win, I would say it's going to be because Kyle Lowry. Caleb Martin has been someone that has been hot. You can continue to roll with him if you want to. 5 for 12. Not terrible, not great, but he's someone that when we were looking at the per 36 production with Gabe Vincent off, he was the one that was standing out the most. It's just trying to figure out which one do you want to go with. Do you want to go with points? He's been over that 5 straight games, which kind of worries me. Points, rebounds, and assists probably should have got the over there. I do think if that game doesn't blow out and gets the 3 more minutes, probably gets there. So if Gabe Vincent's out, I don't mind the Caleb Martin prop, but at the same time, it is tight, right? Not perfect. Now let's just look at some other props that we were getting as well in this game. Sorry for the weird noises. That's my Bluetooth speaker there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the 9-to-5 cheat sheet. Find the other good props that we were getting today. So we can see that PrizePicks has their board extremely tight. Probably going to be a situation where we're staying away from that. I do want to call some prop bets that we are getting on Underdog though. So I'm going to go into the PrizePicks cheat sheet, but I'm going to sort it by the PrizePicks and Underdog discrepancies. And so I already did that. We can see Jaylen Brown fantasy score. I like this. Like Derek White a couple nights ago, we're seeing a big discrepancy here. 1.65 fantasy points is a lot, okay? And it's basically set as a push, but a push for around 34.63 fantasy points. So it is a situation in which maybe you bet the over on Underdog and the under on PrizePicks. Like I'm perfectly fine with that. It's a strategy that I've used a decent amount, especially in golf, that has been paying off. It does pay off in NBA when we see these drastic differences as well. I wish we were getting another one as well, but we're not. So if you want to use that one, you can. Derek White, we got there as well. Let's flip it here. Okay, so this is interesting. So Jimmy Butler And I get why PrizePicks and Underdog is valuing him this high. Kind of going to be motivated to play well, close out the series at home. It makes sense. Average Vegas line is suggesting that he's not going to get there though. Okay, so if you think he's going to struggle, then I actually don't mind the under for the Underdog line. I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, and I apologize guys for working on the tool this morning. This was the prop that was available at 8.5 to start the day. We'll see if that hits or not. So not using that one. But yeah, I feel like we get the gist of the good NBA props. Let's go ahead and get into the rest of the day's bet. So looking at right now, we can see we are getting a couple of decent props. So we got Max for over 1.5 shots on goal, favored at about 53.6%, round up to 54%. You know, not a terrible prop. There's that Chase Anderson pitching strikeouts prop. If you guys want to roll with that, you can. Then we got a couple other ones that are popping in at 53% chance to hit. We got Diaz for over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I'm fine with that. And we got these two as well. So we are getting some good props. If you guys see one of these that you like and you want to use it, by all means, go ahead and do that. And then personally, I don't mind when we are seeing these like pitching strikeout props where the projection has it set at 5. That's great. And the over is also slightly favoring as well. Okay, so we can see about a 53% chance for Gray to get over 4.5 strikeouts. That's going to be one that I like as well. Are there any under bets today? No, not really. Al Horford, man, the guy has been so annoying shooting the 3 ball. I'm not even touching that. So let's go ahead and look at some hitting fantasy score props that we get real quick, because we know that's kind of been a sweet spot lately. So the one that's popping up the most, and I don't know if I love it or not, is going to be over hitting fantasy score here. Vegas line has it set at like 2.5 to be over the hitting fantasy score. The projection has it set at like 3 over. And I think that might just come due to maybe a better matchup. I didn't look into that, but more or less just the fact that he's been terrible lately. And so they're kind of expecting to have a resurgence here. Not one that I particularly would chase, but if you want to use it, you can. That was the one that was actually popping up the most on the cheat. And just so you guys can see it right there, not terrible. And then we can see we got Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, not a terrible prop. We can see the average Vegas line is supporting the over at -122 for over 11.85. And he's been someone that lately the RBIs just haven't been there, so he hasn't been able to get the over. You would think that gets corrected here shortly. And after 3 straight games of not doing it, probably going to do it today. So I'm perfectly fine with that. That's also going to be one that I really like. We can see we also are getting some other pretty solid bets. Brian Reynolds for overhitting fantasy score. That's decent. Byron Buxton, perfectly fine with that. Juan Soto, Matt Olson. Those are all fine ones as well. If you guys see an edge in one of those, by all means, go ahead and use that. I do want to call an edge that I'm seeing pitching fantasy score wise. So yesterday, one of the better pitching fantasy score props that we got was actually Kevin Gausman for over pitching fantasy score. And I call that out because very rarely do we see where the Vegas line that we are getting favors the over. And we see that today with 2 of them. The issue is that these are pretty high fantasy scores for PrizePicks lines. But at the same time, why is the Vegas line pulling in this way? Well, it's probably being calculated that it's going to get both a quality start probably, and then also a win. Okay, pitch deep into the game and whatnot. So not a terrible prop that we are getting there. So those are also going to be 2 props that I think are going to be pretty favorable. So let's go and get to the bets of the day. So I already showed you guys that Chase Anderson prop. I like that one. I would definitely sub that one in for this one. So let's just I like that one better. So if you're looking for the 5 best individual bets for the day, go with that one. And then I do like these 2 pitcher fantasy props. This is my favorite one for NBA today. It's really predicated on Malcolm Brogdon's minutes though. Okay. And then these are the 2 best hitting fantasy score props that we're getting on the day. Hopefully they can both come out of the cold streak that they have been in. And then also Jaylen Brown on Underdog, very solid prop there. But that's gonna be all for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. You know what to do. Give that like and subscribe. That does help out the channel. Let's have a good slate today. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.